Helen Clark, recording for EITI. Thanks for inviting me to speak at this important event organised by the Open Government Partnership, the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, and Open Ownership. I've been a lifelong advocate of transparency and accountability. Becoming EITI chair, for me, was an opportunity to support the organisation's work to make transparency and accountability the default settings for the extractive sectors. Revenues from those sectors have the potential to contribute so much to societies and economies. But where there is secrecy and opaqueness, that potential just can't be realised. Tackling these issues requires evidence, expertise, and commitment. The huge economic damage done by the COVID-19 pandemic has injected a sense of urgency to the task of ensuring transparency and accountability, as revenues from extractives become even more essential for the resource-rich countries. Anonymous companies have been at the heart of many of the scandals in the extractive sectors involving corruption at a grand scale. Such practices, enabled by hidden ownership structures, have caused, for example, many African countries to lose billions in revenue. According to the UN Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, Africa loses about $88.6 billion a year in illicit capital flight. Half of those flows related to the extractive industries. Beneficial ownership transparency, therefore, is fundamental in the fight against both corruption and illicit financial flows. Being able to track ownership is the best weapon we have to equip government agencies and investigators to pursue the individuals behind illicit activities. Beneficial ownership transparency makes it much harder to hide money laundering, facilitate illicit financial flows, and evade tax. Disclosures in states like Colombia, Nigeria, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom demonstrate how ownership data can expose corruption risks and conflicts of interest. To quote Nigerian Vice President Osinbajo, in Africa, breaking the wall of secret corporate ownership is for us literally a matter of life and death. Those are strong words. A number of countries in Africa are now leading on implementation of beneficial ownership disclosure reform. And they include Ghana, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, South Africa, and Zambia. The necessary legal frameworks are being developed, and several are establishing public registers. Of course, beneficial ownership reform can be extremely complex. It requires strong political commitment, much technical expertise, and it requires multi-stakeholder collaboration to be successful. In 2016, the EITI Standard introduced requirements on disclosing the beneficial owners of mining, oil, and gas companies. At present, 26 countries in Africa implement the EITI Standard, and globally, 110 countries around the world are now committed to beneficial ownership disclosure in some form, whether through the Open Government Partnership, EITI, or other mechanisms. It's now time to move from commitment to implementation. EITI will continue to raise the bar on beneficial ownership transparency, including through its newly launched program, Opening Extractives. It's a joint program with Open Ownership, and it will harness the expertise of organisations and partner countries to make beneficial ownership transparency the routine part of doing business. I look forward to further discussion on our collective roles in fighting corruption. and to identifying ways in which we can work together towards a more transparent and accountable extractives sector.